The massive ships appeared on a Tuesday. Deep within the Kuiper Belt, Earth's quantum detection array picked up the distortions first. The system, hidden from public knowledge for the past 30 years, had been specifically designed to detect faster-than-light travel. When the alert came, General Robert Thompson was having his morning coffee in the underground facility known simply as Station 1. "Sir," his aide said, tablet in hand, "you need to see this." The readings were unmistakable. Over 300 vessels, each larger than anything humanity had ever officially built, had just emerged from what the Empire would later call hyperspace. The smallest of these ships was the size of Manhattan. "How long until they reach terminal velocity?" Thompson asked, his coffee forgotten. "At their current acceleration, 6 weeks, sir." Thompson nodded, already reaching for the red phone that would connect him directly to the World Security Council. "Get me everyone." And I mean everyone. In the following days, life on Earth continued as normal. People went to work, children attended school, and social media buzzed with the latest celebrity gossip. But in secure bunkers across the globe, the world's leaders gathered virtually to enact a plan that had existed for over 50 years. Protocol Omega. The Imperial fleet, unaware they had been detected, maintained their position at the edge of the solar system. They were following their standard invasion protocol, a methodology that had worked on over 3,000 civilizations. First, observe. Then, make contact. Finally, offer the choice between submission or annihilation. They didn't know that humans had been observing them back. "Their technology is interesting," Dr. Anna Williams said during the emergency council meeting, her hologram flickering slightly. "Advanced in some ways, primitive in others. They have no quantum shielding, no consciousness backup systems, no dark matter generators, just brute force and numbers." President Michael Ward leaned forward in his chair. "Can we take them?" "That's not the question," Williams replied. "The question is, how do we want to play this?" The decision was unanimous. Earth would play weak. When the Imperial ambassador's transmission finally came, Earth was ready. The message was broadcast simultaneously on every screen, radio, and communication device on the planet. "People of Earth, I bring greetings from the Galactic Imperial Federation. We have been observing your civilization and deem you worthy of joining our magnificent empire. Acceptance brings protection, technology, and prosperity. Rejection brings alternatives. You have one planetary rotation to respond." The panic that followed looked real because some of it was. Not everyone on Earth knew the truth. Only about 10% of the population. Those involved in the hidden space program, quantum research, and planetary defense, knew humanity's true capabilities. In Tokyo, London, New York, and every other major city, people rushed to stores, stocked up on supplies, and huddled with their families. Military forces mobilized openly, a show for their watchers above. Old tanks rolled out, obsolete aircraft took to the skies, and outdated missile systems were prominently displayed, all while the real defenses remained invisible. The World Security Council gathered again, this time in person, in a bunker 2 miles beneath the Swiss Alps. They drafted humanity's response carefully, making sure it struck the right balance between fear and defiance. "We accept your generous offer," the message read, "and humbly request time to prepare our world for integration into your glorious empire." The empire's response was swift. "You have one standard galactic month. Prepare yourselves for inspection and integration." As the transmission ended, General Thompson stood at the window of Station 1, looking up at the stars. Behind him, technicians monitored the quantum network that kept Earth's true defense grid invisible. Deep space probes, disguised as ordinary asteroids, continued gathering intelligence on the Imperial fleet. "And so it begins," he muttered, finally sipping his now cold coffee. "Let them think us primitive. Let them think us weak. They'll learn soon enough." Above Earth, hidden in plain sight, humanity's real fleet waited silently, their quantum drives cold, their weapons armed. They had been ready for this moment for decades. The Empire had no idea what they had just walked into. The Imperial scouts arrived in 3 small ships, each no bigger than a cruise liner. They believed they were being subtle. They weren't. Earth's hidden sensors tracked their every move as they entered the atmosphere, disguised as shooting stars to the public below. General Thompson watched their descent from Station 1, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing their flight paths. "They're heading exactly where we predicted," Lieutenant Jane Miller reported, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. "One for North America, one for Asia, and one for Europe." "Perfect," Thompson replied. "Begin Operation Mirror." Across the globe, carefully orchestrated scenes played out. In Texas, they let the Imperial scouts observe an oil field, complete with outdated drilling equipment. In Beijing, they showcased a semiconductor factory using technology that was primitive by Earth's true standards. In Germany, they displayed wind farms and solar panels, making sure to show how dependent humans were on basic renewable energy. The Empire's assessment team consisted of their finest analysts, led by Inspector First Class Marcus, a name they chose to use in human communications, their real name being unpronounceable. They landed their ships in remote areas, using what they thought were advanced cloaking devices. Earth's quantum sensors captured every detail, including their private communications. "These humans are precisely what our initial scans indicated," Marcus reported back to the Imperial fleet. "They've barely mastered basic atomic fusion. Their most advanced computers still use silicon chips. Their weapon systems rely on chemical propulsion." In the hidden command center beneath Geneva, Dr. Williams smiled as she listened to the intercepted transmission. Next to her, the real quantum computer core hummed quietly, its consciousness processors analyzing Imperial technology in real time. "Should we let them find something slightly more advanced?" she asked the World Security Council through her secure link, just to make it interesting. The answer came back: "Proceed as planned. Let them think they've discovered all our secrets." The Imperial scouts spent the next week conducting their standard planetary survey. They scanned for energy signatures, mapped military installations, and analyzed Earth's defensive capabilities. Everything they found had been carefully prepared for them to find. In one particularly amusing moment, they discovered what they thought was a hidden military base in the Ural Mountains. It was actually a decoy, filled with technology that Earth had deliberately made to look like failed attempts at replicating Imperial tech. "The humans are trying to reverse engineer basic space flight capabilities," Marcus reported excitedly. "They've managed to create a crude replica of our earlier generation drives, but it's highly inefficient. Their attempts at energy shielding are primitive at best. The real Earth defense systems, running on completely different principles than anything the Empire had ever encountered, remained invisible to their scans. The quantum shield network, consciousness backup arrays, and dark matter generators continued their operations, undetected and unsuspected." On the final day of their assessment, the scouts gathered their data for a final report. Their conclusions were exactly what Earth wanted them to believe. Planet designation: Earth presents minimal military threat. Primary value: abundant resources, particularly water and rare minerals. Indigenous population shows potential for basic labor force. Technological level: pre-imperial stage 3. Recommendation: standard integration protocol with minimal military presence required. As the scout ships prepared to leave, Dr. Williams stood in her lab, watching the quantum display showing Earth's true defensive capabilities. The planet was surrounded by an invisible network of satellites, stations, and automated defense systems that operated on principles the Empire couldn't even detect, let alone understand. "They see what they expect to see," she said to General Thompson, who had joined her for this moment. "They find what they're looking for." "Pride comes before the fall," Thompson replied, quoting an old saying. "They're so convinced of their superiority. They never considered we might be hiding our true capabilities. As the Imperial scouts disappeared into the upper atmosphere, Earth's hidden fleet adjusted their positions slightly, maintaining their perfect coverage of the planet. Soon, very soon, the Empire would learn the cost of underestimating humanity. But for now, the play would continue. The stage was set for the next act. Let them think us weak, Earth's leaders thought. Let them think us primitive. The warning they would receive would be one they would never forget. The Imperial destroyer Starbreaker vanished on a Thursday. One moment, it floated proudly at the edge of Earth's solar system, its kilometer-long hull gleaming in the distant sunlight. The next moment, it was simply gone. No explosion, no debris, no distress signal, just empty space where a ship carrying 10,000 Imperial troops had been. In the Imperial flagship, alarms blared. "Status report," Admiral Leon demanded, using his chosen human name. "Where is the Starbreaker?" His crew scrambled to find answers, but their sensors showed nothing. It was as if the destroyer had never existed. The Admiral's face darkened with rage as he ordered an immediate battle alert. 300 Imperial ships activated their shields and weapons, preparing for an attack that never came. Instead, they received a transmission from Earth. In Station 1, General Thompson stood before the quantum communications array. Dr. Williams gave him a slight nod. Everything was ready. The World Security Council had approved their message unanimously. It was time to give the Empire their first and only warning. "This is Earth," Thompson spoke clearly and calmly. "We have removed one of your vessels. This was not an act of war. This was a demonstration." The transmission continued with a data packet. When the Imperial technicians opened it, their computers displayed the exact quantum-level scan of the Starbreaker, taken moments before its disappearance. The scan showed details about the ship that even the Empire didn't know about: structural weaknesses, shield frequencies, crew configurations, and weapon capabilities. Then came the second part of the message, a set of coordinates. "Your ship and crew are unharmed," Thompson continued. "They have been relocated to the provided coordinates, approximately 1 light-year from your current position." The process was instantaneous. The crew experienced nothing. In the Imperial flagship, Admiral Leon received confirmation. The Starbreaker had indeed been found at the exact coordinates, its crew confused but unharmed. The ship's chronometer showed no time had passed. "Impossible," he whispered. "Their technology level. We have maintained a policy of isolation and misdirection for reasons that should now be becoming clear," Thompson's message continued. "We have no interest in your empire. We have no desire for conflict. Consider carefully what you have just witnessed." The message ended with a simple image, a quantum-level scan of the entire Imperial fleet, showing the same detailed analysis they had provided of the Starbreaker. In the depths of Station 1, Dr. Williams monitored the quantum network's readings. "They're processing the information exactly as we predicted," she reported. "Their command structure is in chaos." General Thompson nodded. "And the Starbreaker's crew?" Telling quite a story, Williams smiled. "Our little gift is working perfectly." Before moving the Starbreaker, they had installed a small quantum beacon in its engine room, undetectable by Imperial scanners, but designed to continuously broadcast a simple message throughout the ship. Earth could have destroyed them, but chose not to. In the Imperial flagship, Admiral Leon received the full report from the Starbreaker. His hand shook as he read it. The ship had been moved without any of its sensors detecting the process. None of their defensive systems had even activated. Whatever Earth had done, it had bypassed every protection the Empire had developed over thousands of years. "Admiral," his second-in-command spoke quietly, "the scans they sent us, they're still analyzing our fleet. In real time. We can't detect how they're doing it." Leon stared at the blue-green planet visible on his main screen. The supposedly primitive world that had just demonstrated technology far beyond the Empire's understanding. "Send to High Command," he ordered. "Priority Ultra. Message begins. Initial assessment of Earth requires immediate revision. Evidence suggests. He paused, choosing his words carefully. We may have gravely underestimated this world. On Earth, in government offices and hidden bunkers, leaders watched and waited. The warning had been delivered. The demonstration had been made. Now came the crucial moment. How would the Empire respond? The quantum defense grid hummed silently, ready for any possibility. Earth had shown mercy, but it had also shown power. The next move belonged to the Empire. The Imperial High Council met in emergency session 48 hours after the Starbreaker incident. Their massive circular chamber, usually a place of order and certainty, now buzzed with worried whispers and nervous glances. Grand Counselor Thomas, another chosen human name, stood at the center platform, his normally confident posture showing signs of stress. Before him, the holographic display showed the data from Earth on endless repeat. The seamless disappearance of a destroyer, the impossible scans, the demonstration of power that defied Imperial science. This cannot be possible, one council member shouted. They were burning fossil fuels just decades ago. And yet, Thomas replied, we all saw what they did to the Starbreaker. In the council chamber's observation ring, Imperial scientists argued frantically among themselves. Dr. Reed, their head of quantum physics, looked like he hadn't slept in days. His hand shook as he tried to explain what they had discovered. Their technology. He started, then stopped, gathering his thoughts. It's not that they're more advanced. They're different, completely different. They didn't follow our path of technological evolution at all. On the main display, analysis of Earth's quantum readings scrolled past. The Empire's best minds had been studying them nonstop, and what they found terrified them. While we focused on manipulating space and matter, Reed continued, they focused on understanding it. Our ships forced their way through space. Their technology. It's like they've learned to ask space to move for them. Admiral Leon, now standing before the council, added his report. The Starbreaker's crew describes the experience as instant. No sensation of movement. No disorientation. One moment they were in our solar system. The next they were a light year away. Our best teleportation technology can't move a grain of sand without turning it to plasma. Thomas raised his hand for silence as new data appeared on the screens. Earth's global network had activated again, and they were scanning the Imperial fleet with casual ease. The Empire's best stealth systems meant nothing to them. There's more, Dr. Reed said quietly. We've detected quantum signatures around every major Imperial world. They've been watching us. For years, maybe decades, our sensors never picked up a thing. The chamber erupted in chaos. Council members shouted questions and demands. Some called for immediate retreat. Others demanded a full attack. A few suggested offering Earth membership in the Council rather than as a subject world. Thomas watched the panic spread and felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear, not of Earth's weapons or their technology, but of their patience. They had known about the Empire all along. They had watched, learned, and prepared, all while pretending to be primitive. What are their demands? Someone asked. That's what truly worries me, Thomas replied. They haven't made any. They simply proved they could have destroyed us, then chose not to. It's not a negotiation tactic we've ever encountered. In a secure chamber adjacent to the council room, the Empire's best strategic AI processed the situation. It had run 10 million simulations of conflict with Earth. It had lost every single one. The humans, Dr. Reed spoke again. They did something else. Something subtle. The quantum beacon they left on the Starbreaker. It's changed how the crew thinks. Not mind control, nothing so crude. They simply made sure every person on that ship understands, on a fundamental level, that Earth showed mercy. Thomas looked out at the worried faces of the Council. The Empire had ruled the galaxy through superior technology and military might for 10,000 years. Now they faced a civilization that had hidden its true nature, developed along a completely different technological path, and could apparently ignore Imperial defenses as if they didn't exist. "We need," he said carefully, "to reconsider our approach to Earth. Completely." In the back of the chamber, a junior analyst suddenly shouted, "New quantum signature detected." Every screen in the chamber changed at once, showing a simple message from Earth. "Shall we talk?" The Empire, for the first time in its long history, found itself on the other side of a power imbalance, and they had no idea what to do about it. The Imperial reinforcement fleet arrived exactly when Earth's quantum predictions said it would. 500 additional warships, each carrying enough firepower to level a continent, tore through space toward the solar system. General Thompson watched their approach on Station 1's main display. "Right on schedule," he said, sipping his ever-present coffee. "Shall we show them our orbital defense network?" "Testing their patience, sir," Dr. Williams asked, standing beside him. "Testing their wisdom," he replied. The Imperial ships took up attack positions around Earth's solar system. Their formation was perfect, designed to prevent any escape and allow maximum firing coverage. Admiral Leon stood on his flagship's bridge, trying to project confidence he no longer felt. "All ships in position," his tactical officer reported. "Ready tow." The officer never finished his sentence. Every screen in the Imperial fleet suddenly activated, showing the same image, Earth's true defensive grid coming online. Thousands of platforms appeared out of quantum silence. They had been there all along, invisible to Imperial sensors. Each platform was smaller than an Imperial fighter, but radiated power readings that made the Empire's largest weapons look like toys. "By the eternal stars," Leon whispered. The platforms formed perfect geometric patterns around Earth, Mars, Venus, and every major body in the solar system. More appeared in the spaces between planets, creating a three-dimensional web of power that even the Empire's most advanced sensors couldn't fully comprehend. Dr. Williams' voice transmitted clearly to every Imperial ship. "We appreciate you sending more ships to witness our demonstration. Please note that each defense platform you now see can perform the same displacement effect we showed you with the Starbreaker. We can move your entire fleet if necessary." In the Imperial flagship, Leon received an urgent message from his sensor officers. The quantum scans they'd been running showed something impossible. These platforms weren't new. Based on their quantum signatures, they had been in place for at least 50 years. "How?" he demanded. "How did we not see them?" The answer came from Earth. "You saw what you expected to see, Admiral. A trait your Empire has demonstrated consistently in its expansion." In Station 1, Thompson gave the order for Phase 2. "Show them the rest." Across the galaxy, quantum sensors activated near every major Imperial world. The Empire's leadership watched in horror as they realized Earth hadn't just defended its solar system. It had positioned similar platforms near every significant Imperial target. "Impossible," Grand Counselor Thomas said, watching the feeds from his emergency bunker. "They would have had to pass through our most secure space thousands of times." "We did," Thompson's voice replied calmly. "Your security detected exactly what we wanted it to detect. Nothing." The Imperial reinforcement fleet hung motionless in space. Their superior numbers meant nothing. Their advanced weapons were useless against technology they couldn't understand. They had arrived expecting to find a primitive world learning its place in the galaxy. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by power they couldn't match. "A question." Thompson's voice came again, still calm, still measured. "Did you wonder why we let you find Earth? Why we maintained the illusion of being primitive? Why we waited until you came to us?" Silence filled every Imperial command channel. "We wanted to see if you had grown beyond conquest, if you had learned to meet new civilizations with diplomacy rather than demands. You failed that test." In the hidden quantum labs beneath Geneva, Dr. Williams monitored the Imperial fleet's reactions. Their ships were powering down weapons, their commanders realizing the futility of their position. However, Thompson continued, We still believe in second chances. Your empire has brought stability to many worlds, created trade routes, protected developing civilizations from external threats. These are admirable achievements." He paused, letting the words sink in. "So now you have a choice. Not the choice you plan to give Earth, but the choice we are giving you. Shall we discuss a new relationship between equals, or would you prefer another demonstration?" The Imperial fleet's response was immediate. Every ship powered down to minimal systems, taking positions that clearly signaled surrender. Earth had changed the galaxy's balance of power without firing a shot. The Empire faced a choice it had never encountered in its history: learn to talk as equals, or cease to be an empire at all. The meeting took place on neutral ground, a space station that Earth revealed in high orbit around Jupiter. As the Imperial delegation's shuttle approached, their sensors finally got a clear look at human technology without any disguise. The station wasn't built, it was grown. "Living metal," Dr. Reed whispered, his instruments showing readings that defied Imperial science. "The entire structure is alive and conscious." Grand Counselor Thomas led the Imperial delegation, accompanied by Admiral Leon and their top scientists. Their shuttle passed through the station's outer layer as if it were mist, yet their sensors showed that same layer could withstand the direct impact of a supernova. General Thompson and Dr. Williams waited in the station's central chamber, a spherical room that seemed to be made of flowing light. The Imperial delegation found themselves able to walk normally despite the zero gravity, held in place by forces they couldn't detect. "Welcome," Thompson said simply. "Time for truth." The chamber's walls became transparent, showing them Earth's true face. Massive structures orbited the planet, previously invisible to Imperial sensors. Cities floating in the sky, vehicles that moved without engines, power sources that drew energy directly from space itself. 50 years ago, Dr. Williams began, "We detected your empire's expansion. We saw how you approached other worlds, how you offered them the choice between submission or destruction. We decided to take a different path." Images appeared around them, Earth's real history, how they had discovered quantum consciousness technology while the Empire focused on brute force physics, how they had learned to communicate with the fabric of space itself, how they had developed technology that worked with universal laws rather than against them. "Your ships tear holes in space," Williams continued. "Ours ask space to move us. Your weapons force energy to destroy. Ours reshape reality locally. You build machines. We grow partners." The station itself seemed to pulse with life around them, responding to her words. Thomas realized with a start that the station was part of the conversation, actively participating in ways his mind could barely comprehend. "But most importantly," Thompson added, "we learn to wait, to watch, to understand." More images appeared, Earth's ships, invisible to Imperial sensors, following Imperial fleets. Earth's quantum probes, witnessing every invasion, every conquest, every choice the Empire made. Humans had walked undetected through Imperial cities, studied in Imperial universities, and learned everything about the Empire while keeping their true nature hidden. "Impossible," Admiral Leon whispered. "Our security was looking for what it knew," Williams finished. "Your sensors scan for energy signatures you understand. Your defenses protect against weapons you know. We simply developed in a completely different direction." The chamber shifted, showing them something new. Thousands of young civilizations growing on distant worlds, all under Earth's secret protection. Worlds the Empire had dismissed as primitive or uninhabited, quietly developing under humanity's invisible shield. "We could have stopped you," Thompson said quietly, "could have prevented your conquests. But we chose to watch, to learn, to understand if the Empire could grow beyond its need for dominance." Thomas found his voice at last. "Why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue hiding?" "Because you found us," Williams smiled. "Or rather, you found what we wanted you to find. And your reaction told us everything we needed to know about your Empire's current state." The chamber filled with new images, Imperial ships helping wounded civilizations, Imperial aid reaching disaster zones, Imperial knowledge lifting primitive worlds toward the stars. "You're not evil," Thompson said, "just stuck in old patterns. Patterns we hope you're ready to break." The station hummed with gentle energy as Thompson stepped forward. "We're not here to destroy your empire or take your power. We're here to offer you something you've never had. A true equal. A partner. Someone who can help you become more than a force of conquest." The Imperial delegation stood in stunned silence as the full truth of their situation became clear. Earth hadn't just surpassed them technologically. It had evolved into something they had never imagined possible. "So," Dr. Williams said, her voice kind but firm, "shall we discuss the future? One where we work together to lift up younger races rather than conquer them." The choice before the Empire was clear: evolve or become obsolete. 1 year after the Jupiter meeting, the galaxy had changed more than it had in the previous 1,000 years. In the newly established Galactic Council chamber on Mars, General Thompson stood before representatives from both Earth and the Empire. The chamber itself was a testament to the new partnership, a living structure grown from Earth's quantum-conscious materials, but incorporating the Empire's classical architecture. "The integration progress report," Thompson announced, "exceeds our expectations." The holograms floating above the chamber showed the results of the first year of cooperation. Imperial ships, retrofitted with Earth's quantum technology, now traveled between stars in moments rather than days. Ancient Imperial weapons had been converted into terraforming tools. The Empire's fearsome warships now served as exploration vessels and humanitarian aid carriers. Grand Counselor Thomas, now serving as the Empire's lead diplomat, smiled as he watched the data scroll past. "If you had told me a year ago that we'd be here," he said, "I would have thought you mad." Dr. Williams, standing at her usual position beside Thompson, pulled up another display. This one showed the true scope of their success. 37 developing civilizations now openly under joint Earth-Imperial protection, each one free to grow at its own pace, without fear of conquest or interference. "The hardest part," she said, "was convincing your military that protection doesn't require dominance." Admiral Leon, who had become one of the strongest supporters of the new approach, nodded in agreement. "Learning to watch over worlds without controlling them. It's been a challenge. But the results speak for themselves." The displays shifted to show their greatest achievement: the first joint Earth-Imperial Academy. Young officers from both civilizations learned together, sharing their different approaches to science, technology, and exploration. Imperial students learned Earth's quantum consciousness techniques, while Earth's youth studied the Empire's vast knowledge of galactic history and culture. "There was an old Earth saying," Thompson said, addressing the chamber, "the best victory is the one where no shots are fired, where enemies become friends not through force, but through understanding." The chamber's walls shifted, becoming transparent to show Mars' terraformed surface. What had been a red desert a year ago was now a garden world, transformed by the combined power of Earth's quantum engineering and Imperial scale. Dr. Reed, who had transformed from a confused Imperial scientist to an eager student of Earth's technology, stepped forward with his report. "The quantum consciousness network now extends to 60% of Imperial space. Travel time between any 2 points in the network, instantaneous. Energy efficiency, perfect. And the network itself is teaching us new things every day." But the most significant change appeared on the next display. The Empire's Conquest fleet, once the galaxy's most fearsome armada, had been reorganized into the Galactic Protection and Development Force. Their new mission: finding, protecting, and nurturing young civilizations. "We found 18 new developing worlds this month alone," Leon reported proudly. "All now under invisible protection, free to grow without even knowing we're there." Thompson smiled at the irony. The Empire had learned to do what Earth had done to them: watch from the shadows, protect without interfering, guide without controlling. And the final report: Dr. Williams said, bringing up the last display. The Galactic Quantum Consciousness Network has detected 3 potential faster-than-light civilizations developing in the Andromeda Galaxy. It seems our joint mission may soon extend beyond the Milky Way. The chamber fell silent as everyone absorbed this news. Earth and the Empire, former potential enemies, now stood ready to become guardians not just of one galaxy, but 2. 1 year ago, Thomas said quietly, "We came to Earth thinking we would find another conquest. Instead, we found our future." Thompson looked out at the transformed Mars landscape, then at the faces of Earth and Imperial representatives working together as equals. "No shots fired," he murmured. "No worlds burned. No civilizations conquered. Just understanding reached and wisdom shared." Above Mars, Earth's quantum defense platforms floated beside Imperial warships, no longer hidden, no longer needed as weapons. They had become beacons, guiding lights for a galaxy learning a new way forward. The Empire had set its sights on Earth, and Earth had given them one warning. But that warning had led not to war, but to transformation. Not to conquest, but to partnership. And somewhere in the galaxy, another young civilization took its first steps toward the stars, protected by guardians they would never see, free to find their own path to the future.